Okay, today we are doing our second lecture on the balance of payments. Okay, now in ISC you get questions where they ask you for the differences between the different accounts. Okay, so the first difference we are taking is the difference between the balance of trade and the balance of payments. Please keep in mind that you need to keep in mind okay please keep in mind that you have to remember the balance of payment table. Okay, uh, that will be the entire base for on which we will be answering our questions. So the first difference between balance of trade and balance of payment will be balance of trade deals in visible trade only, whereas balance of payment deals in visible as well as invisible trade. Okay, then your balance of trade may or may not balance, but your balance of payment will always balance. In what sense? Accounting sense. Because if there is any discrepancy in the context of surplus or deficit in the balance of payment, that is corrected using the accommodating capital flow, right? Then your balance of trade does not deal in transfer receipt and transfer payments, which is an important part of the current account. Okay, so this transfer receipt and transfer payment is not reflected in your balance of trade, but in the balance of payment we do deal with transfer receipt and transfer payments. Okay, so these are the three differences, and if you can get a question, you at the most will get a question for 2 to 3 marks. So getting off 3 points will be good enough for differences between the different accounts. Okay, now we'll go in for our second difference. What is the difference between the balance of current account and the balance of capital account? Please keep in mind that our balance of payment comprises of current account and capital account. Current account, okay, it deals in current account deals in flow of goods and services. Okay, so here we are mentioning that that it deals in visible as well as invisible trade, whereas a capital account deals with the capital transactions such as loans, borrowings, foreign investments. Okay, the current account has no role to play in balancing the balance of payments. Okay, whereas the capital account we have the accommodating capital flow, which helps in rectifying a surplus or deficit in the balance of payment. Okay, so this helps in balancing the balance of payment, and it balances in what sense? Accounting sense, right? Now the current account deals in transfer receipt and transfer payments, but the capital account does not deal in transfer receipt and transfer payments. Okay, now for the first point, it deals in visible and invisible trade for current account. Actually that means what? We are dealing in goods and services. Okay, so this is the difference between the balance of current account and the balance of capital account. Now we can also get a question, what is the difference between the balance of trade and the balance of current account? Okay, please keep in mind, if you go back to our old table, items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 together give us the balance of current account, and just item 1 and 6 give us 1 and 6 give us the balance of trade. Right, now if you look at balance of trade, we are only dealing in tangible commodities. Okay, so it deals in visible trade only, whereas the balance of current account will deal in visible as well as invisible trade. Right, now if you look at the balance of trade, okay, the second difference, the third one which I've given here should have been the second difference. So the balance of trade does not deal in transfer receipt and transfer payments, but the balance of current account does deal in transfer receipt and transfer payments. These are the two primary differences. Okay, the third one which I have put here as the second one is a part of current account, and the balance of current account is a part of balance of payment. Okay, this is a point which we are just giving. Okay, it's not very convincing, but just to make sure that we have 3 points, we have given this point. Okay, so these are the differences between the different accounts. Now, the next area which we need to discuss and which is a prominent area of question is what? It is the reason for adverse balance of payments. Okay, the reason for adverse balance of payment. Now, in nutshell, when will you have an adverse balance of payment? When your exports are less and where your imports are more. When your exports are less and import is more. That means export is going down but import is going up. That causes a problem or adverse balance of payment. When can we have that? Say we take case number one. What is case number one? Fall in the foreign demand. Fall in the foreign demand for exports from the home country. Like for example, when will the when will there be a fall in the demand for Indian exports? When there is a fall in the foreigners' income, when there is a change in the taste and preference. We have to go to microeconomics, factors affecting demand. So whatever reason is causing a fall in the foreign demand for domestic exports, okay, that will cause an adverse balance of payment. Then we have rise in population. If the population increases, then our demand for commodities will increase, and if we cannot produce our own requirement, okay, then in that case our demand for imports will go up. Like see, we are the largest vaccine manufacturing country in the world, right? But right now in the COVID situation, okay, we are not making ample amount of vaccines to vaccinate the whole country, right? And for that we are now dependent on the supplies from the foreign country. That means our imports will go up. Like Russia will be giving Sputnik vaccine to us, okay? So in that case what will happen? The demand for imports will be going up. Decrease in supply. Decrease in supply of what? Exports. Our supply of exports can depend on various factors such as natural factors. Like suppose if there is a flood, famine, then what will happen? The supply of exports will go down. If there is inflation, next point, if there is inflation in the home country, what will happen? See, it's not that only we are exporting the commodities. In the same category we have other countries as well. So if the price of our exports will go up, okay, if the price of our exports will go up, then the foreigners will buy less of our commodity, less of our exports. On the other hand, what you have to keep in mind, whenever there is inflation in the home country, imports will become relatively cheaper. Please keep in mind, we are focusing on which term? Relatively cheaper. For example, an American product is available for 100 rupees and an Indian substitute of that is available for 10 rupees, right? So if you're buying one American product, you are sacrificing 10 units of Indian product. Now if the price of Indian product goes from 10 to 50 and the American product is still available at 100 rupees, that means in this new case, when you're buying an American product, 1 unit of American product, you're only sacrificing 2 units of the product of the home country. So what is happening? Your American product now looks to be cheaper in comparison to the Indian substitute. So if there is inflation, volume of exports will go down and the volume of imports may go up. Now, a technical point. What is it? Appreciation. Appreciation of the home currency. What do you mean by appreciation? It is the rise in the value of the home currency, rise in the value of the home currency in terms of foreign currency. What do you mean by appreciation? It is a rise in the value of the home currency in terms of foreign currency. For example, $1 is equal to rupees 80. On appreciation, okay, on appreciation the exchange rate becomes $1 is equal to rupees 40, right? It looks like value of rupee has gone down, but no, it has gone up. How do we cross check? 1 rupee in the initial case was won by $80, and in the new case, okay, in the new case $1, in the new case $1 will be equal to 1 by 40 rupees. Okay, 1 by 40 rupees. So obviously 1 by 40 is greater than 1 by 80. So you will find that, okay, the price of the price of rupee is going uh, up in terms of the foreign currency. There is a rise in the value of home currency in terms of foreign currency, right? So if you're importing something for $1 earlier, you have to pay how much? 80 rupees. And now if the price is still $1, okay, now you have to only pay 40 rupees. So imports will become cheaper and exports will become expensive. Okay, so what is appreciation? It is a rise in the value of the home currency in terms of foreign currency. For example, $1 is equal to rupees 80, now becomes $1 is equal to rupees 40. Okay, so the value of rupee has gone up. So imports will become cheaper and exports will become expensive. How expensive? Suppose your international price is 80 rupees in the initial case. So what is your international price? Okay, $1. And if you still want 80 rupees in the new situation, you'll have to pay how many dollars? $2. So exports become expensive. One easy way to remember is, in the case of appreciation and depreciation, easy way to understand is for imports, and the reciprocal happens for exports. Okay, so this will be our second lecture. In our third lecture, we'll go on to the remedies to remove the disequilibrium in the balance of payment, differences between depreciation, devaluation, uh, appreciation, revaluation. Okay, that will be our third lecture. So I think in two more lectures we'll wind up with this class. Okay, with this topic of balance of payment.